Welcome to the Bookmanager software demo. My name is Carly and I am the onboarding lead here at Bookmanager. Today, we're going to walk through several areas of the Bookmanager software to give you an idea of what your day-to-day basic functions are going to look like. This is not supposed to be a training video. It's more of a greatest hits to show you what's going to be possible. The training will come, I promise. And so one day you will learn exactly how to do the different steps I'm going to do here. But today, again, it's just supposed to be an overview. Bookmanager has been a work in progress for just over 35 years. As of today, our current user count includes over 275 Canadian bookstores, 250 US bookstores, as well as a couple international users. Today, I'm going to be using the live software of our own bookstore, Mosaic Books, for the most part. There's going to be a couple times I'm going to switch to our Play copy, but Mosaic Books is located in the same building as Bookmanager and is our guinea pig for all of our development, everything that we do. Everything added to the software is first tested in Mosaic, whether they kind of like it or not, and then goes out to wide release once ready. Mosaic Books has been open, not by the current owners, but has been open and up and running since 1963. Michael Neal and his family took it over in 1996 and have been running it ever since. So we are going to jump into that software right now. I'm just going to share my screen here. 1 second. There we go. And there we go. Awesome. So we are going to, like I said, jump into Mosaic. At first glance, you're probably a little bit surprised. That's pretty common. Bookmanager itself is a keyboard-based software. So your day-to-day running Bookmanager in your store to sell books, to receive books, to order books is likely going to be done in this software. Bookmanager, it looks DOS-based. It's not. Bookmanager is a Windows software, runs on Windows 10, Windows 11 computers, and is very fast, very slick, but you are going to be using your keyboard a lot of the times. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get used to the software, but everybody does eventually get used to it and finds it to be very powerful, very quick. So we're going to jump back and forth between a couple different areas. The areas that we are going to be moving into today are all kind of found down this left-hand column here. We have our inventory, our point of sale, our customer file. We're going to get into a little bit of this. We're not going to touch everything today, but know that you can see more if you need to. I can send you links to our support area of our Bookmanager site to then get into some of the nitty-gritty details if you do want to see specific functions, especially if you're a current bookstore owner and you have certain things you want to see. For the newbies, this is going to be, again, a lot of new things. So know that you are not alone and maybe, again, seeing this as being a little overwhelming because, you know, the book selling industry just is. All right, so we are going to get right into this point of sale here. Point of sale is the best place to start because, you know, it is kind of the thing that you're going to be doing every day. All staff members will be trained on it. So let's just start right there. So I'm going to go into the point of sale. As I mentioned here, this is the last thing this is our live data from our bookstore. So these are the last sort of sales that have happened over the last couple minutes here, this one being the most recent. I'm going to start a new transaction. Now, in Bookmanager, you can start a new transaction and be adding a customer to that transaction. You can also potentially not add a customer depending on the situation. For our bookstore, we always add customers because we are going to be having their account link up to their frequent buyer program. So I'm going to get in here. I'm going to use one of our staff members here. We're going to use Alicia, sure. We're going to jump right into a transaction. All right, so Alicia, we're going to pretend that Alicia is buying a couple of things here. Normally you would have a scanner set up, but I'm just going to hand type these in. So let's pretend Alicia here has bought a couple different things. Oops. Looks like I typoed. 1 second. There we go. So Bookmanager's figuring out, of course, the books that we're buying, the taxes involved in Canada, especially in British Columbia here, we have 2 different taxes. So we have our regular everyday tax as well as some other tax above and beyond books because I am selling some bookmarks and also a journal here as well as a book. So I have the books listed out. I can see right now, the moment that I start scanning these items into the sale or typing items into the sale, I am also seeing that those items are being taken out of the available inventory. So we don't have to worry about, even though we have, quite a bit of stock of most of these things outside of the little bookmark there, we don't have to worry about our site being out off balance or not knowing what the things that we've sold, because Bookmanager, as soon as it's scanned into the sale, will remove those from the available on hand. We're going to get into that a little bit more in the web store demo, but know that that is being updated kind of live as you go. Now, when I head on over here to the payment side of things, I can take payment via the PIN pad device. In Canada, that is going to be global payments for all of my Canadians that want integration. In the United States, that's going to be through Clearant. What happens is Bookmanager, the software, sends through the sale to the Clearant device or the global device and completes the sale. I do not have a PIN pad here attached to my computer, so I'm just going to pretend that I do have, I'm going to be paying by cash. So let's pretend this customer is paying by cash, and we're going to just then finalize this transaction. There we go. Now, normally you would have a receipt printer plugged into your computer. I have made this receipt for us. So we have our receipt, has information at the top as to who the customer is that's purchasing it. We have the items that they're buying, what the total is, and all the kind of information there. Mosaic Books runs a frequent buyer program. So for every dollar spent, the customer gets a certain number of points. For us, that is 5 points per dollar. So when a customer spends $200, they get a $10 credit. Lots of our customers use that credit right away, but some of them decide that they want to save that up. So we allow them to do that, and that is okay by us. And then when they have points to redeem, Bookmanager always prompts. So know that that's something you can also enable. There's a lot of sort of customization behind the scenes on what that program looks like, but know that you can probably do that too. All right, so that is one easy basic transaction. What we're not going to get into today, but know that Bookmanager can do is, and actually too in the web store demo, we will get into this a little bit more, but you also have things like helds. So books that you are reserving for customers, or the ones that you are, maybe they're going to be picking up, or you're going to be shipping to them once all the books arrive. Know that that is something that is extremely common. Bookmanager has ways of taking care of that. So right here, to give you an example, this is a pickup from an online order. This is a pick list. So we sometimes get orders in, or we have helds that we're working from a customer that's placed an order, and we print a receipt that then we can go through and know what to pick and know what to do. This is an example for a pickup order, but there's also other reports or other ones that we can get that would be here in this example. 1 second. Oh, I think is it behind here? There we go. This is for an order that's going to be shipped. So we got an online order, or we could have placed or had the order over the phone or whatever it is. But when we were done, we were able to print the information that it was going to be a shipped order, the address information, all the contact information for the customer shows, as well as all the things that this customer has ordered or has wants from us to be shipped. So know that those are going to be some things that we're going to do. Again, more on this in the web store demo, but know that there's those things that could also be printed. And we can also print what's called a held receipt. So I'm just going to minimize this here. This is another sort of receipt that can be printed from the software that includes information about the customer, what the things that they, the things that they are special ordering or wanting through us, and then a really easy way to go back to that held later on. So again, know that this all exists kind of behind the scenes. And you can keep track of your helds very easily. There's also a lot of reports to do with helds. So know that that is all there. All right, we're just going to minimize these and get back into Bookmanager. So that is a very brief overview of the point of sale. What we're going to do is we're now going to jump out from here, and we're going to head on to the inventory. Inventory is one of the, I guess, the most fun areas where we can spend some time. What we're going to do here today is now we're going to go into the inventory, and it brings us to the last book that I was looking at. So it happened to be Iron Flame. What we're going to do is we're going to do a search for this, for a book. And we are going to look up my favorite illustrator. We're going to look up Julie Morstad. She's a Canadian, kind of lives close by, but has some beautiful books that she's both the author of as well as the illustrator. Now, in Bookmanager, to explain a little bit, your inventory is both stored within the software, but you also have access to millions and millions, about 26.5 million or so titles within the Bookmanager database called Title Link. So when you do a search, you can decide, is this something that I want to just search my own inventory for, or is this something where I kind of want to look out to see what's available and what's possible? A lot of our users, I feel, get sort of in the habit of looking out to the wider database because they know that the titles that they have in stock or on order are going to show up first, followed by the things that they have access to. So I'm going to do that search, which will search out to Title Link by pressing a couple of keys here. I'm going to say, give me 100 results. I want to include things that are in stock as well as not in stock, and also things that are active as well as not active, meaning out of print, hard to find. So I can give my customer as much information as possible. So I'm going to do that search. There we go. And there we go. So we now get a lot of different results that all match to my illustrator that I looked for, Julie Morstad. So this book comes up first. You might be wondering why, because it's a Kate DiCamillo book here. Why is that coming up that way? Well, it's because Julie Morstad is the illustrator. So this book would have, if I would have done the search before in my system, it may have not come up because of the way that Bookmanager holds the data, but it does for this case because I've looked out to the wider database. I can also see another book here, Time is a Flower. Now, some of these titles may sound maybe a little familiar to you, but maybe not. I'm more of a visual person, so I do need a cover usually to remember if I know a book or not. In Bookmanager, you can press the space bar and up pops an image. So a lot of our bookstores, I have my Bookmanager screen here quite big right now for the demo, but a lot of our bookstores will have the covers kind of off to the side. And then as they scroll through and look for different books, they'll then see the covers appear off to the right or off to the left. So that is something to know as well. Now, when I did my search, my results came back. I mean, of course, with my title information all at the top here, it also came back with my own receiving and sales history, which is quite helpful. I can also see this peer data. So this book just came out, looks like October 10th. As of right now, it has sold at 41 Canadian bookstores. I am in Canada. I am seeing the Canadian data of my fellow Canadian booksellers. Our US friends, you will see the US stats. There are some differences between the titles between our two countries. There's some international versions, some US only editions. So we want to make sure that we both have sort of our separate set of data so that it's bringing up titles that are the ones your customers are looking for. So for me, I have 41 other bookstores in Canada that have sold this book. So far in October, about 64 copies have been sold. November so far, as of the 21st today, we're at 49 copies, with 14 being in the most recent week. Our own store has brought a total of 6 into the store, and we sold 2 copies in October and 1 copy so far in November. We still have 3 copies available on hand. This will be different from book to book. We're going to look at some complicated ones in a moment, Iron Flame being one of them, because again, the history is complicated. It's a little more robust. You can see some differences in what this all looks like. So right now, this Puppets of Spellhorse here, this is the most popular book that matches to my search that I've done. The next one, Time is a Flower, is ranked about 15,000. So again, not selling extremely high lately, but has been a very good seller in our store. We have, over the course of the history, sold about 23 copies. So it's been a good one for us. As I scroll down, I now start to get into the books that we don't currently have in stock, but we potentially have in the past and are also selling well with our bookstore peers across Canada. So this is the next one, Girl on a Motorcycle. You may see this one and think it looks a little familiar or not. And as we go through, we get to see different versions of this. So for us, we had this in a remaindered version. We're going to get into more of the remaindered and used side of things in our remainder and used demo. So if this is interesting to you, definitely jump into that demo after this one so you can see what more details on what that whole process looks like. We then have This Is Sadie. This is, of course, a very popular book from quite a few years ago, I guess now. But again, it will see all the matches as we go. Now let's pretend our customer, this is the book they're looking for. So this is exactly the one they're getting it for, maybe a holiday gift, whatever it is. We've found it, which is great. We can see that in the past, we did order it from Penguin Random House. It was in our kids' board book section. Fantastic. The biggest question at this point though is, where do we get it today? Because that was maybe a little while ago. We haven't had this book in the store for a while. So where would we get it today? So in Bookmanager, I have a single key that I press here, and it brings up pub stock information. Pub stock is the price and availability of books selling in Canada and the United States from all the different distributors, wholesalers, small presses that we have information from. In Canada, we have just over 90 different suppliers that are in pub stock. In the United States, we have about 45. So this will be different, again, from country to country. Book distribution is just different between the two countries. So it'll be specific to you no matter where you are. So for me today, when I look at this, I see, looking at this, knowing kind of what these codes stand for, that Ingram, Oregon, the closest Ingram warehouse to me, they have 6 copies. I can bring it in from them. It's going to be $8.99 US funds. So again, in a minute, we're going to look at that, and that it's a regular discount. I know it's returnable. This is showing me that yes, it's returnable. And it's also showing me the as of date. With most of the vendors, we're getting feeds from them nightly. So it comes within the night. Ingram happens to be around 11 p.m. Pacific time, which is why it's showing as of November 20th. But this will be their most up-to-date information. I also see Penguin Random House. They're saying, yes, we have it. It's $11.99 Canadian. So this is where in Canada, we see the 2 different funds depending on the situation, who we're ordering it from. We also see the discount. Now the discount is what the average trade bookstore receives. For us, 46 might be the right number. We also might know as a bookstore, well, our volume is pretty high, so we're actually buying at 48 or 47 or 50. So this is just supposed to indicate to you that it's a regular sort of discount you should be expecting, not a short discount or a net discount. I also see the Penguin Random House Nevada warehouse, so that's very helpful for me to know where things are coming from. Since I'm on the West Coast, I probably would be fulfilled from Nevada, but again, it gives me an idea of what we have. I also see, again, this is going to be a distributor that our US friends are not going to be familiar with, but as a Canadian, I also see here that Raincoast Book Express, one of our big wholesalers, also has stock, but oh no, they don't have stock on hand right now. They're waiting for 10 copies, likely from Penguin Random House. So this gives us, again, a good idea of where the stock is being held, where might be the best place for us to order. Also here, I can see a big difference in the discount. Raincoast is a wholesaler, Penguin Random House is the distributor. So I see a little bit of a difference between the two. I also can see here through Book Express that this book can be returned, but there's conditions on that. I'd have to confirm with my rep. I'd have to make sure I know those rules before I try to return. So this again is going to be different from book to book. This information here, looking at this, knowing that Ingram has 6 and that Raincoast has 10, there's certain suppliers that we have a live feed with. Ingram being one of them, Raincoast being one of them actually, so this is a great example. And so when I'm looking at pub stock here, and if I was wondering, ooh, is it really 6 that are left over, or have they received those 10 yet? I can press L for live and I can see what's going on. So as of right now, it actually, Ingram did sell out of one of those copies since last night. So there's only 5 for me to reserve against. Raincoast still has those copies on order, so they have not received from Penguin Random House yet. So I kind of know that there might be a little bit of a delay in the order if I were to place it through Raincoast. So from here, the first thing, we're looking at a book right now. We're thinking about this could be a special order if a customer is asking for this from us. Maybe at this point we ask the customer, do you want to put this book on order? If they do, right from the screen, without having to get out of this area whatsoever, we can just put this book on order. So I would reserve the book. I'm going to reserve it for this customer. If I did have copies on hand, Bookmanager would remind me at this moment to be like, wait a second, you might want to pull from those copies you have in the store. But for me today, I'm going to do a special order for the customer. We're going to put in the code. I am then going to grab one of the nails here. We're going to grab Maybe we'll grab Trevor this time. All right, great. So Trevor's one of the staff members here at Bookmanager. Alicia is his sister who manages the bookstore. That's who we use for the point of sale transaction. But there we go. We're adding Trevor's order to the system. Now here, this is asking us, how does Trevor want to be communicated in the future? We can do email, we can do text messaging notifications. We can also, of course, call people. We don't like to call people as much because we're mostly getting voicemail, and it takes a long time to wait for that voicemail to pop up, to leave the voicemail, to log it. So we love in our store if a customer wants us to email or text message them when their book arrives. So this is what's coming up. Trevor's account is set to go by email, so that's great. Now here's where I can actually decide who I'm going to put this book on order with. So with books, as you probably know if you're an existing store, and you will soon know if you are a new store, you will maybe order a book from one vendor today and another vendor another day. So this is for this particular order. As of today, for this customer, who are we bringing this book in from? Since it's a special order, and I know maybe that Ingram, Oregon is really close by, and depending on when we've last sent our order, I think for me today, Ingram would be where I would go. So I'm going to put this book on order with Ingram, and I'm going to say $8.99, and I'm going to then potentially quote my customer $12.50 because that's what the exchange is working out. But I could also quote them then $11.99, knowing that I'm making a little bit less of a profit margin, but that I'm matching the price listed on the book. My Canadians have to worry about that. My US friends, you do not at all. You would just put in the price there that the supplier is quoting. Here I can put in some information. So maybe the customer gives me their life story. Maybe they're going on vacation. Maybe they're not going to be available to come pick this book up in the next little bit. So I can make notes for me and for my staff that maybe Trevor is going on vacay. Back December 1st. Great. And I'm also going to put test order since we're in the live system, just in case. Here's where I can set what's called a review date. Review dates are sometimes necessary. For this case, for this order today, I probably wouldn't set one. I don't need probably a reminder about this order. It's pretty straightforward. But if, let's say, I were to order it through that Raincoat supplier where there were copies not on hand yet, that is technically my closest vendor, probably where I would go if they would have had stock. So perhaps if I had gone that route, I might want to set a review date for myself for 5 days from now so that I can ensure that that book actually is in stock and it's not going to be back ordered for much longer than what the customer would be willing to wait. Review dates are great if we see back orders or reprint statuses or anything where there might be a slight delay, so we don't forget about it. If, let's say, a book is fulfilled in the time that is, again, expected before that review date pops up, it doesn't remind us. So it's not like it's something that we have to go back in and clean up. It's really going to only pop up for the items that we need it to. STO is an Ingram only thing. This is just essentially sending the order to Ingram in this moment so that they can fulfill it for us. And it will ship with our next order, but it will be held as of today. This is something we can talk about as we go through training and as we set up your store, if this setting makes sense for you. For today, I'm going to set this as no. And then I also have this last option here, which is called prepay. Now, prepay, I would say most of the stores are having their special orders prepaid for. It's not a 100% of the time thing. You may have family, friends shopping in the store, staff members that would be special ordering, and great customers that are going to be not having to prepay for their books. But you might make it a store policy that just everything has to be prepaid for. In the event that you do, at this step here, we would be putting in that why, yes, we would like to have it prepaid for. What then happens is it'll jump us over to the point of sale and we can go through the process of making a payment for this. There's also ways through the point of sale if we are being requested as a customer's coming up and purchasing something else, if we can do a special order, and we can also do prepays from the point of sale side. Since prepay is a little bit more complicated and it requires a lot of steps, we're not going to cover it in the demo today, but that'll be one of the first things we talk about when we get into your training, just to make sure that we have that part covered and that we're matching what the store policy is for prepaid items and pre-orders. So today, again, I'm going to leave that set to no, and I'm going to press page down. Ooh, this is a good one. So this is this Bookmanager is kind of a stickler for pricing and making sure that what is printed on the books and what are what the current prices are matching. When we brought this book in last time, looks like it's been over a year since we've had this book, and our inventory card right now, right at the top here, says that $10.99 was the current price as of then. We can see from pub stock that it's actually $11.99 now. Or if I want to make my full 40% profit margin, I could sell it for $12.50. So Bookmanager is prompting us to say, hey, do you want to look at this? Do you want to change this? And so this would be the point where I would say to customer, this is going to be $11.99. So I'm just going to press enter there to say, yep, let's change that to $11.99 going forward. I'm going to put in my code, and there you go. So it's now updated my inventory card to $11.99 so that if, let's say, someone orders this tomorrow, they're going to see $11.99 as the price. Now, over here, it doesn't show as being on hand or on order, even though it does, because this is showing us what my available on hand and my available on order is. This book, even though it is on order, is not available at the moment. It is tied to Trevor, who will be purchasing it very soon in the future. What I do see over here, though, is that I currently have a special order on order. This area here is reserved for special orders. So I can see, yep, the order's gone through, that step is done, and the customer may have something else for us to order, or they may be done and on their way. What's happened behind the scenes, and we'll jump to that next, is that the order has been put into the system. So we're going to go escape back to the main menu. We're going to go into orders, and it brings me to that order that I just did. So I can see a pending order has been placed on this day to this vendor for this price, this title, this customer. I can see all that information. Our buyer tends to use this area as a way to sort of keep an eye on what's going on in the store on a given day, what special orders are being put through, because it is possible that your buyer or you might look at this and say, well, that's great that they want it from Ingram, but I have inside information and know that it's actually better to get it from another vendor, or we should move it to another vendor for whatever reason. So orders within the system here, they're still editable, changeable, deletable, if let's say that's what you need to do. But I could edit this, change the vendor to be a different vendor, maybe PRH, and then change that to $11.99. Great. And maybe that's better. Maybe that order is going to go through before our next Ingram one, and this will actually end up making it a little faster. So let's pretend we've done that. Great. All right, so you can also browse through, look around, search within this area for a certain customer, ISBN, order number, a specific PO. This is sometimes a fun area to use to find those orders. I find personally, and I think our buyer also feels the same way, that the order processing area is sometimes a little bit of an easier way to look at the orders because you see how they're building with one another. So we're going to jump there next. Now, when I head into order processing, it's found under number 8 order processing here, and I'm going to press enter. And what I met with is our orders area. Each line here is a different PO that is being built. So I can see all these different Hachette orders. I can see a HarperCollins order, a couple of different HarperCollins orders, some Ingram orders. The first thing I do as I get into this area is I update it. And I say, yep, let's see what's changed since the last time that I've been in here. So it does a little retotal, it scans through. There's a lot of orders in here. Our store is pretty big and it's very busy right now because we are stocking for the holidays. So it is a fast moving store. So we have a lot of different orders that are being built. So I have, and I think our orders just went out. It looks like a lot of them are just fresh in there with very low quantities. So probably just been sent. So again, I have all these different lines here. Using my example here at Penguin Random House, this is my one, I can see a Penguin Random House line right here, pending order, 0 days old because an order just went out. This line here lets us know how orders are being sent to our different vendors. All of your big book vendors, we are going to push for and help you set up electronic ordering. It is an extremely efficient way to order. Everything is logged in your software, both the orders that are being sent, confirmations that we're receiving from the publisher, as well as the best part, electronic receiving, which we're going to get to in just a moment. But this here is letting us know how the order is being sent. I can also see here the number of special orders actually on this order. So right now, this is just one order. One book is on order, one of which is a special order, which is my one copy of This Is Sadie. Now, if let's say we're wanting to send this order, I don't want to send this order yet because I'm not at my minimum. I can see there very easily because I don't have a little check mark. But over here on some other orders, I can see I have a HarperCollins order right now. It's giving me a check mark because behind the scenes, it's there's settings that let Bookmanager know kind of where those minimums are. So HarperCollins, I'm over that minimum, but our buyer is using this as a way to organize our buys that we're doing every day, so our reorders that we're putting pretty much through every single day, but also the orders for things that are forthcoming titles. So I know here this HarperCollins S is our summer order. HarperCollins W is our winter order. These could be special orders that are from customers that were just really prepared, really loved certain authors or certain books and put their special orders in a long time ago, even ahead of when our store was placing our forthcoming buys. And you can use this area to organize those types of things. We'll talk about more of that in a minute, as well as then things like promos. Sometimes your rep will let you know of a backlist special. Some of these, as I scan through here, probably are to do with that. I think our buyer usually uses B when it's talking about a backlist special, so perhaps some of these are to do with that. But this is to say, or this is all to show you that you can have several POs building for different reasons. You can put notes on those special orders to sort of indicate as much so that staff members are aware this order is not ready to be sent yet because of whatever reason, but this order is. So know that we can get quite complicated if we need to, or keep it really simple. You may have just one order building for Ingram or one order building for Penguin Random House, and that's also okay. As I scroll up here, so these are all my open pending orders right now that have not been sent. But as I scroll up past these, I'm starting to see some other orders that have gone today that are sitting in different statuses. So here I have a Scholastic order. This is sitting in here as of right now being sent, and this is specifically through a PubNet order. I then have a Raincoast order. It's sitting in here as confirmed. So it went out a little while ago, also through EDI, through our FTP site actually, and it is sitting back as confirmed. So if I want to go have a look at that and just see what that confirmation looks like, I can press enter and I can view the order. And it is letting me know that each line that I've ordered is confirmed. So OCNF means order confirmed, order confirmed. I am seeing order confirmed down the whole line here, which is fantastic. I know all of these books then will sort of be part of my next shipment, which is fantastic. As we scroll back here, we're going to see, oh, we got an Ingram order that's also come back confirmed today. So I'm going to go check that one out. This one's a little bit more complicated. So I do see some order confirmed messages in here saying that they're going to ship from Tennessee. So order confirmed through Tennessee. So different than our regular warehouse. But I also see back order out of stock. So this one, unfortunately, is back ordered at the moment. If I checked out pub stock on this title, it's going to tell me the same thing. Yep, Tennessee is showing this as being temporarily out of stock. So I know I would have known when I put that order in for my customer that that was going to be a case. I can communicate that to them to let them know. And that way we're kind of all on the same page about where a book is at. This book here is showing that it's order confirmed through Oregon. So I know that this is going to be like Oregon's my regular supplier, my sort of the one that I get my most orders through. So I know that that one's going to be fairly fast, maybe just a couple days, versus Tennessee, which is going to be a little longer, a little bit far away from British Columbia. So I know it's going to take a little bit longer. But this, again, this is all great. This is all kind of what I would be expecting to see, that these orders are all confirmed. So that's great. Now, as we scroll back here even further, we're going to see another status, and it might take us, oh, there we go. We see this status here to show that it's invoiced. So as our books are being ordered and after they're confirmed, as they get picked and packed at our suppliers, what is then happening is they're sending back electronic documents to say, these books are in this box, or these books on this invoice. And the act of sending that is then updating Bookmanager to let us know that the books are shipped. So if I look at one of these books on my customer account, or if I just happen to look at that item as I'm looking through my orders or through the inventory cards, I'm going to see that my order with whatever supplier has shipped. And that is very helpful to know that it's on the latest shipment, and that again, depending on the supplier, that could be arriving very soon. It could be a little while. Again, we're in British Columbia. Things take a long time to get from the East Coast, so we would know that, you know, roughly it's going to be a week or a week and a half or whatever it is from that date. We're going to jump into that next because that's a pretty fun thing to look at. Now, I don't want to actually receive any books, so I'm going to jump into my play copy of Bookmanager. This is an exact replica of our live system, so what we do for testing, playing, whatever we need to do at Bookmanager. So I am now in our play copy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head on into receiving. With receiving, there's a lot of different ways to receive books and different product. You are going to be electronically receiving through carton documents and through electronic invoices. But you're also going to receive from a printed invoice from a small publisher. You might also get consignment books from a local author or a smaller publisher that wants to sell books on consignment with you. And then, of course, there's going to be sidelines and possibly used books and possibly remainders. All of that is going to be happening through receiving. Depending on the type of product, what it is, what you have from that vendor, that will really indicate how you're going to receive the titles. For the example today, just because I don't want to, you know, we don't want to get into all those different types of receiving today, though we will, I promise, once we start training. What we're going to do is we're going to go through an electronic carton receiving document. With that, to explain a little bit, in case this is your first time hearing about that, what happens with the vendors is as they pick and pack your boxes, if let's say your order has 100 books on that order and maybe there's 25 books spread between 4 boxes, as they pick and pack your box, what they're doing is they're logging what books are going into what box and what boxes match up to what invoices, and those documents are then created electronically and sent to you. So there's 2 different sets of documents, one that is the carton level to say these are the books in this box, and then what we call the invoice level to say these 4 boxes match up to this document, this is the added tax, freight, whatever the details are, and the 2 together sort of equal out to what your what will be logged into Bookmanager. So again, in our play copy here, so I do not make our receiver angry with me, I am going to paste in or pretend to scan in a box. So I'm just going to scan and pretend like I've grabbed the box. On the box, there is a barcode. It's one of the many barcodes that's printed on that box, and you will get to know what that barcode looks like for each of your vendors. But I am doing one here. I've just pretend to grab the box and scanned that barcode, and this is what comes up. So I can see that this is 1 carton matching to 1 invoice. I can see when it was invoiced to me. So this was invoiced on the 15th of November, and I can see the books involved on this order. So this is a little snapshot to say in this box, these books exist. So I am going to now process and let that go. And I'm going to say, yes, fill my special orders. Wonderful. And it's now gone through the act of receiving my books for me. It was just a 5-book shipment, so nothing too, you know, groundbreaking there. But if you had a box of 50 books or a very large shipment, this can be kind of life-changing because that takes a long time to do manually. So I can see here, these again are the few books that that were special ordered, some of them were special orders, some were ordered for the store, and I can now do the next step, which is to reconcile my invoice. Reconciling means we grab the books, we take them out of the box, and we scan them into Bookmanager to mark that they're here, because this is what the supplier says we should have received, but who knows what actually made it to that box. There's always human error that happened, or there can be document error. So the act of scanning these items in will actually mark to Bookmanager and let us know how many we should have had, and if we do in fact have them. So I'm going to go into that. I'm going to reconcile my invoice, and I am just going to pretend here that I am scanning these items in. So I'm just going to paste that in. Great. Do that one. Great. And then I'm going to do this one. Ooh, okay. No, it's okay. We'll pretend like Bookmanager's not coming with that error. It's just letting me know that it doesn't have a label printer attached to it at this moment. So we are fine there. Wish I had a label printer. There we go. Awesome. And so that is what I have scanned. Now, when I try to get out of this area, oh no, Bookmanager telling me that I have not scanned everything that I'm supposed to. So this here lets me know I might have been short shipped. Maybe I haven't, but let me go see what I've missed out on. Oh man, I've missed this book. And I look in the box and oh, I do not have it. So maybe at this point, I then want to log a claim for credit that I've been short shipped so that, yes, I've received these books from this vendor, but I am sending back a credit for this unreceived stock because I don't want to pay for something that I don't have. So here I can choose to log this as being that I have had a short ship, that I've been billed, not shipped. Darn. And perhaps then I even want to go ahead and put this book back on order because I really do want that copy. I really did want it for the store and not just the one. I want another one. So I'm going to put that back on order with Penguin Random House. Wonderful. Great. And now when I escape, I'll say that yes, I'm going to exit the reconciliation process. I'm aware of that difference and I can keep carrying on. All right. Now, as I was going through and reconciling, something to know is that if you choose to label your books the labels are going to print out, and that prints out then in the same order that you're scanning your books into the system, which makes it for easy labeling and very efficient use of that. So you can have Bookmanager label books. If you're deciding you're not going to want to label, or maybe you're only labeling sidelines or your used books or whatever it is, know that that is all done through the settings. So we can set that up so that, yes, sidelines will label, but maybe your new books will not. What's also happening, and what did happen for this case, is that it let me know that there was a special order as well. So as I was going through and scanning my titles, it was also popping up saying, this is a special order, pull it to the side. Now, what's actually happening, and I'll give you some examples here, depending on the situation and how you want to have this display, you might want your special order slip to print to a receipt printer. And it would print with the customer information, when you received it, the information about the book, as well as then the back of the book label, if you choose to label your books. Which is great. Our store, we actually don't print the receipt label. We print something else. So for us, what we do is we print, let me just bring that up here. We print something like this. So our special order slip, what happens is the back of the book label prints, and then what happens is the customer information label prints, and it lets us know that perhaps this is a shipped item or it's a pickup item. So we can then put that and shelve that accordingly, depending on the situation. We can also just tell if something's been prepaid for, again, from this little prepay status or not. And that can help us again with where we're actually shelving and putting these different items. I'll show you this other one here. Well, this is a box set. So it's kind of showing you here that how you could label that. I'm going to show you here how our boxes, how our held actually look. So what we do is we keep the label on the back of on the backing, so it's still there. We don't unstick it, and then we just put it in between the pages of the book like a bookmark, and we shelve this on our held shelf at the front of the store for our regular everyday customers. All of our schools go in our back of the store receiving area because we just have a little bit more room back there, and we're usually packing up some big orders. So for us, that's what makes sense. So know that, again, there's a lot of customization we can do depending on how you want to print things, what you want to print, and we will go through those settings with you when the time comes to make sure that we have that set right. Since I've received this, since I've reconciled it, I'm pretty much done with this invoice. So what I can do here is I can press escape and say, yes, I'd like to exit. I can put in my code to say I'm all done. This total here comes from the vendor itself. So there's no looking at your invoices and matching. I mean, you can always use that as a reference, which is great, but you're not having to then go through and actually make changes to your receiving or whatever it is, because it's all going to be here. So here we're going to press page down, and what Bookmanager lets me know is I have, I'm actually just going to change these settings here just a little bit. There we go. So it lets me know that I have a special order that needs to be posted to the point of sale. This is a very important thing because It's great that a book is received and that it knows that it's for a special order, but we have to make sure that this book doesn't get put into sort of the inventory that can be reserved against. So this step here, it's going to add the special order to the point of sale. It's going to then add it to that customer with that customer's name attached. If it's been prepaid for, it'll log it as being a prepay. If it hasn't been, then it'll also log that so that I know that that customer has to pay when they pick up, but I have all that information to go by. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to press page down to say, yes, let's do that. And yes, let's go ahead and do that. Great. It also lets me know that I made a claim for credit as I was going through, and do I want to access and actually process my claim now? And I'm going to say no to that because maybe I'm waiting for the end of the day to wait for all my Penguin Random House receiving to come through to see if I need that. So now I'm done. I could keep going with another receiving session with another supplier, but I'm going to jump into the point of sale and I'm just going to look up that book actually. So let me just do a little search here for this book. Here we go. And this is what's created. So typically what I would have is I would have the book with the special order slip in the top, either a label or a receipt printer. And what I would do is I put that onto my cart for my front of house staff, or for me later on, depending on the situation, if you're the only one working in your store, to then work to notify and work with this customer in the future. So in our store, we would grab from that held pile, and we would scan the back of the book, and that would bring us to here to say, okay, we have to let this customer know that this book is now ready to be picked up. So we would, and this was something that was a prepaid order. So it's a pickup order, it's prepay, it's kind of all logged that way. This order was actually ordered through our sale that we had at the beginning of November. And so that I can even see here that my 20% off from that sale is in there as well. And if I wanted to right now, I could let this customer know that, that we're ready for this. So I'm gonna go E for edit. And I'm just going to, oh, actually, you know what? I'm not going to edit it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to notify. I was hoping I could change the customer information out there so I don't accidentally send any an email, but it's okay. I'll override that. So I'm going to put in my code. Oh, P for print. There we go. I'm going to send a notice through email, and I'm just going to send this to Carley at Bookmanager. There we go. So I'm sending what's called a notice. So I'm letting this customer know through a templated email that's built into Bookmanager that their order is ready for pickup, and everything gets auto-filled based on what that invoice or what that held invoice looks like. So let's go look at that. I'm going to say, yeah, go to Carley. I say, yeah, it's me, great. And so this is the email that gets automatically created. It gives me a little preview here to say like, hi customer, this is this bookstore. So it's using my little play, name here, but pretend that said Mosaic Books, and it's saying these items are ready for pickup. And it's the fact that it's been prepaid for. And it's also letting us know that like we will notify you as your special orders arrive, because Bookmanager saw behind the scenes that there are still some orders that we're waiting for this customer. So we automatically can assess that situation on that customer account based on what they have on order, what they has been received, and we'll autofill with these different messages. So this is, again, it's a great way to sort of, I guess, spend more of your time, quickly going through some helds versus having to write emails or notify customers through voicemail or whatever it is. Because with a couple keystrokes, I can send off this little notification to my customer. So here I would say, yes, send it, ready to go, yes, and away it goes through Bookmanager. And there it's done. Great. Another thing I want to show you all very quickly here is the reports. And actually, I'm going to jump back to our regular Mosaic Books here to do this, now that we don't need that play copy anymore to receive some books into the system. I want to jump into reports. Now, reports are always a huge part of book selling, we create reports to see how we're doing sales wise, how we're doing order wise, what inventory we're holding. Bookmanager is very robust when it comes to reports. We have a joke around here that Michael, the owner of Bookmanager, we call him the analyzer because he loves to know book stats about our store, about the industry on it onto itself. So there's a lot of reports built into Bookmanager, some of which are within the software, which you're going to see in a moment, some of which are hard coded, some of which are very customizable and you can build out and reuse in the future once you kind of have that report set up the way you like. There's also a whole analytical side of Bookmanager that is on the website, on the Biz site, which you'll also see if you watch the Biz intro or preview demo. So go watch that for sure if you're interested in some of those analytical reporting. But what I did want to show you today from Bookmanager is your reorder reports. This is a big component of your day-to-day. I know some users that are coming from things like Square or other non-book software, that process of reordering your books is extremely cumbersome and takes a lot of your day. So what I'm going to do is I've gone in from the main menu here into reports, and I've gone into this custom inventory report. Now, our buyer has a pretty wonderful report that she uses every single day. We call it our daily sales report. It includes all of our regular stock with no special orders included. So special orders for us are, or what we're limiting from this report here, are the one-offs, the random books that maybe are backlist from 10 years ago or whatever it is. If let's say one person comes in and purchases or special orders that one book, we don't necessarily need to know about it in our reorder report. If let's say a couple customers reordered the same book, then we would want to know because that could indicate a trend or something that we might want to be made aware of. For us, this also includes just our regular stock. It does not include some of our sidelines. It does not include our bargain books, which we would consider like remaindered books. It includes just the things, again, that our buyer needs to sort of pay attention to and get back on order quite quickly. So our buyer went into this morning. She would have pressed enter on this. She would have swapped out the days. So for her, she was looking at orders or sales that happened between the 20th and the 21st. Specifically, she wanted to look at from 3 o'clock yesterday to 9:30 this morning. Our buyer is very busy right now. It's really definitely the holiday season has started a little bit earlier than normal for us. So we are usually running these sales reports in a couple times a day, even just to make sure that we are staying ahead of any trends. Being on the West Coast and being Canadian, our books take a long time to get to us. So the more that we can order and stay ahead of those trends, the faster we're going to be able to restock and kind of, keep that busy season going. For us, we're looking at things that are sales, but also held and also prepays and possibly even adjustments in the system. So adjustments meaning we went to the shelf to find a book, it was our last copy, and oh darn, it is not there. Maybe it's theft, maybe it's something else, maybe it's been misplaced somewhere in the store hiding, but we want to adjust our stock to make sure that that's accurate and let our buyer know so that potentially we can get that book back on stock if it's a good one. Our buyer organizes this the way that she likes. At this time of year, we're looking at quantity sold first, then by class, and then by the total sold. So we can really, again, make sure that those big titles are being well stocked and we're not missing anything. We have a lot of filters here that we're excluding. So we're excluding magazines, newspapers, and remaindered books. We are not looking at things that are gift cards and customer types. In our system, we have a lot of schools shopping with us. We have staff. We have all these different groupings of customers that sometimes we don't necessarily need to know what they're purchasing. So for us, we remove schools and we remove some different groupings of customers, but we also have a sales report created that looks at just those customers. So we can then see what our schools are purchasing and again, stay ahead of that, as well as in lots of suppliers here that we don't need to see. So when our buyer ran this morning at 9:30, looks like we got 153 items. So pretty busy, couple hours at the end of the day, yesterday and today. And I can go through this report now and look at it. So here we're seeing some cards at the top. We're going to ignore that. But what our buyer would have saw this morning, she has since put things on order, but that we sold 2 copies of this book. We do not have any on hand. And at the time it would have said none on order, but now Sarah, our buyer, she's great. She put 2 copies on order. As you go through here, let's pretend this book wasn't something that was on order. We can then see, do we want to put it back on order? Let's look to see the information, the received and sold all over here to indicate like how our store has done with it. You know, is this something we want to bring back in? Maybe it took 10 months to sell. Maybe it was 1 copy that just wouldn't leave the store. So for something like that, we would probably be happy that it's left. So we wouldn't be putting on an order. This book is not that. It is absolutely back and forth in terms of stocking. We've sold a ton of copies over the course of its life. So we're very happy to put that back on order. Pub stock is down below here, telling me if you are to put it on order, who we should be ordering it from. So again, we're using that same kind of thing that we were using when we were putting in our special orders before. And right from this screen, we can choose to order. We can put in the copies on order to Raincoast or to whoever it is, and then be doing exactly what we did before. Instead of adding a customer name to the system, we're going to leave that blank because this is copies coming in for the store, not for a customer. So there we go. I'm not going to really put that book on order because I don't know if Sarah, our buyer, wants to have dupes there. But again, she uses this and she scans through some of the bookstores I've worked with. They like to have this organized by supplier. So know that we can group all your Penguin Random House items together. Some like to group it by classification. Some like to only look at certain classifications and exclude others. So however you're sort of imagining to doing your rebuying. Also too, sometimes between stores, there can be one person that handles more the kids buying, one person that handles more adult buying or other types of buying. So know that these reports can all be customized for that purpose, updated independently. And in the end, you're left with a report that you can actually work from, not one that you're exporting to then send to someplace else, to then edit, then to then import. It's all done through the software and all building to that same area that we were looking at before, the order processing and orders area. So again, that is a very brief crash course into Bookmanager. We've covered lots of different areas today, but we're really just scratching the surface in terms of what Bookmanager can do. I do have some other demos that you can watch. There's one specifically on the web store and what web ordering looks like from your perspective, from your customer's perspective. There's also one teasing our new web store designer. And if you are interested in seeing some a demo of the used book or remainder book receiving and how Bookmanager handles that, there's also something there for you. So feel free to watch. If you have any questions, or again, if there's something that I haven't covered today and you're very interested in seeing what that looks like in the software, please let me know. I can give you a little quick tour of that area, or point you to some of our Help Center documents, which will then be extremely helpful to you as you're making your decision about if Bookmanager is the right choice for you. I hope you had a good time and I didn't bore you too much with what Bookmanager can do, but again, I'm looking forward to working together, and please let me know if you have any questions.